What if I told you 14 billion in Bitcoin shorts could blow up at any moment and the next Bitcoin bull run could make early investors millionaires? You're not going to want to miss this. Let's break it all down. What's up, family? It's Coach Masi, and you're locked into the Daily Hodl. Quick reminder before we dive into the great stuff, this is for educational purposes only. I'm not giving financial advice. Do your own research before investing, and remember, invest responsibly. So let's kick things off with Bitcoin's historical performance. This is why you're all here, because the numbers in the final quarter of the year are nothing short of incredible. Year after year, Q4 has been Bitcoin's season to shine. Take a look at the averages. October alone comes in with gains around 27%. That's like Bitcoin waking up from its summer slump and saying, it's go time. Then comes November, historically the monster month, averaging an eye-popping 38% gain. Think about that. In traditional markets, you're lucky to get that kind of return over a decade. And Bitcoin's done it in a single month, on average at least. And even after all that upward momentum, you still have December, and December still closes out with a solid 10% average gain, which is really what the S&P 500 averages over a whole year. Family, those aren't just numbers on the chart. That's a pattern that matters. Seasonality is real in every market. But with Bitcoin, it's amplified because of psychology, liquidity flows, and adoption cycles. Institutions are closing their books, retail investors are putting year-end money to work, and historically, Bitcoin has fed off that energy. For hodlers like yourself, this is a reminder that patience pays off. If you panic in September or let short-term dips shake you out, you miss the window where Bitcoin has historically delivered some of the biggest returns. For traders, it's a roadmap. Knowing that Q4 historically brings heavy momentum helps you position yourself ahead of the crowd. At least that's what I'm doing. I bought the dip. I hope you have too. And here's the bigger picture. These kinds of moves don't just add a little to your portfolio. They can change it dramatically. A 27% bump in October, followed by 38% in November, that compounds into life-changing gains. That's the power of conviction in this space. And that's why I invest in Bitcoin. Remember, I used to invest in real estate, made money, sold it all, put it all into Bitcoin. So whether you're dollar cost averaging, holding for long-term gains, or actively trading swings, never underestimate Bitcoin's Q4 performance. It's been the engine of some of the most biggest bull runs in history. And if history rhymes again, it could be the setup before the next breakout. Even me doing covered calls, I'm going to be a little bit safer on my calls, 10 deltas for sure. Now let's dig into one of the biggest pressure points in the Bitcoin market right now, the shorts. At this very moment, there's roughly $14 billion worth of Bitcoin shorts positioning sitting on the books. This is traders betting that Bitcoin's price is going to go down, not up. But here's the kicker. If Bitcoin rallies to around 119,000, all those short sellers are in serious trouble. At that level, their positions would start getting liquidated. And liquidation isn't just some technical term. It means they're forced to buy back Bitcoin at higher and higher prices to cover their bets. That forced buying creates what's called a short squeeze. In family, a squeeze of this size isn't just a little bump on the chart. It's like lighting a fuse under a powder keg. You've got billions of dollars that could flip from selling pressure to massive buy pressure in an instant. That kind of move, well, let's just say it doesn't just nudge the market. It can send Bitcoin rocketing into price levels we haven't seen in years, maybe even rewriting what we thought was possible in the cycle altogether. Now imagine this scenario. Shorts start to unwind at 119,000. Price momentum builds. Retail traders pile in, institutions can't ignore it, and suddenly Bitcoin isn't just breaking resistance, it's running on rocket fuel. That's the power of leverage in markets. It cuts both ways. But when it flips against shorts, well, let's just say it could create historic moves. And I think it's happening. I'm getting bullish, and sentiment, I believe, is about to change. This is why keeping an eye on market positioning is just as important as watching the daily price. Price tells us where we are. Positioning, well, that tells you where the market pressure is building. And right now, there is a mountain of pressure stacked against the shorts. If that pressure releases, the volatility will be like nothing we've seen in years. I can't wait. So whether you're a hodler or an active trader, this is a reminder. Stay sharp, because one big move in Bitcoin could turn 14 billion in short bets into the very fuel that drives the next breakout, because I believe a rocket is coming in Q4. Family, some of the biggest names in finance and crypto aren't just bullish on Bitcoin. They're calling for it to hit $1 million by 2030. I'm going to run through the list for you. You've got Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, who's building one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world, and he has front row seats to adoption curves. He's in the know. You have Cathie Wood at ARK. She's invested, or her investments, they have been pounding the table on disruptive innovation and has research-backed models that show Bitcoin climbing to seven figures. Michael Saylor, the face of corporate Bitcoin strategy and treasury companies, has literally bet his company, MicroStrategy, on Bitcoin becoming the ultimate store of value, digital gold. Then there's Adam Beck from Blockstream, a pioneer we all know in cryptography, whose work goes all the way back to Bitcoin's foundation. We've got Jurrien at Fidelity, a global asset management giant, and he says that, running the numbers and saying the supply and demand dynamics point directly to higher prices. Then you have the Winklevoss twins, Tyler and Cameron, where they're saying the early call for Bitcoin is digital gold, and gold's multi-trillion-dollar market cap suggests a $1 million Bitcoin cap. It's not just a dream. And lastly, you got Tom Lee from Fundstrat. He's constantly laid out the models showing why Bitcoin scarcity plus institutional adoption equals exponential upside. And I believe that part. Now, here's the key takeaway. These aren't random influencers making wild predictions. These are CEOs, fund managers, and analysts with track records, $1 billion, data, billions of dollars under management. When they talk, markets listen. And they're all converging on the same long-term narrative. Bitcoin isn't just a store of value anymore. It's evolving into a multi-trillion-dollar asset class with potential to transform finance as we know it. We'd even talk about the Trump administration, who loves Bitcoin as well. So, hodlers, pay attention. Whether or not you believe the multi-million-dollar price target, the conviction from these leaders as capital, or just the real momentum in Bitcoin that's building, you can tell that this is a space you can't afford to ignore. So what does this all really mean for us today? Well, I'm going to break it down. First, Bitcoin's Q4 performance shows a seasonal pattern that simply can't be ignored. Historically, October, November, and December are the months where Bitcoin shines the brightest. It doesn't matter your politics. You see, this isn't random. It's the result of new capital flowing into the markets, year-end rebalancing, and growing demand during a period when supply is capped. If you're watching from the sidelines, you need to recognize that Q4 is often when Bitcoin makes its most decisive moves. Second, the $14 billion in shorts hanging out there around 119 level, well, it's a pressure cooker. And if Bitcoin gets close to that number, short sellers will be forced to cover, which means buying back into the market at higher and higher prices. That kind of forced buy-in creates a chain reaction, basically known as a short squeeze. And the bigger the short positions, the bigger the potential explosion. This isn't just about price bump. It could be the spark that accelerates Bitcoin into a whole new price range faster than most people expect. Third, when you look at the forecast from major institutional players, we're not just hearing noise. We're hearing conviction, and they're putting their money where their mouth is. We're talking about CEOs, asset managers, fund leaders who have billions of dollars, and they're all under management by them. And they're putting their reputations on the line by publicly calling 6- and 7-figure Bitcoin numbers. So whether you agree with them or not, their bullish stance sends a powerful message. Bitcoin is no longer a fringe asset. It's a core conversation in global finance. And here's the takeaway. If you're a trader, these dynamics tell you where the volatility is likely to hit and when to be on alert. If you're a long-term hodler, this reinforces why discipline matters, because the big moves often come when people least expect them. And if you're just curious about Bitcoin, understand this. The combination of seasonal momentum, potential short liquidations, and growing institutional conviction, well, it's what creates the perfect storm for massive price action. And I'd love that for all of us. So that's why staying sharp, staying informed, and staying disciplined isn't optional right now. It's essential. Family, I want to hear from you. Do you believe Bitcoin can hit 1 million by 2030? Or is this just hype? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's get the conversation going. I respond to every single one of them. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share it with someone or anyone who loves Bitcoin news or even curious about it. That's your Daily Hodl. Stay sharp, stay disciplined, and as always, Lead.Pray.Hodl. I'll see you in the next one.